Hey guys, it's Kadin. Welcome to another Autism Digest project, and a very special one at that. Since this month is actually Disability Employment Awareness Month, I figured it was only right to bring two people together, both of which who have associations with Autism Digest, to talk about how autistic individuals can navigate the job search. Our first panelist is our August cover person for the last issue, author of Pia Pastasio Gets a Job, and who you might know from Undercover Boss, Patische Graham. And the second individual is a rapper known for This Why I'm Hot, a business mogul, and he has decades worth of music history on that wall behind him. He is MIMS. Thanks for coming on, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. My first question for you both is, for those that may not know you guys, do you mind summarizing your stories in your own words?
Yeah. So yes, you guys. My name is Patische Graham. I am an autistic woman on the autism spectrum. As many people know that when autism is publicized and is being talked about to raise awareness for all public places of the world, it's not often that you don't hear about autism in women that are being assessed for a proper autism diagnosis. So when autism is being publicized, you guys, it is definitely, the spotlight is definitely on boys who will eventually become autistic men. And my purpose of the mission is to not necessarily take away the spotlight from boys, but to make a series. The goal is, my mission, part of my mission is to make a children's book series that spotlights autism in girls, but also to still publicize autism on both ends for workplace discrimination. So I wanted to bring my children's book to both of the issues that I think both girls and boys, men and women, often constantly battle in our everyday society. I was on the CBS TV show Undercover Boss about 3 years ago, and it happened at Rita's Italian Ice and Frozen Custard. And the point of the episode was to have the Rita CEO go undercover and basically to scope out how employees run their business. And I'm not going to spoil it because I don't want to spoil anything. But if you want to find out more details on my episode, you can basically search it on YouTube, Facebook, Paramount Plus, Hulu. It's Undercover Boss, season 11, episode 4. And you can watch it from there. And hopefully everybody will support my mission and more future things, foreseeable things to come. So stay tuned.
That's a great way to summarize it. Mims, we've talked with you before, but did you want to summarize your story again in your own words?
Yeah, I know the last time the audio was a little bit all over the place for me, so I definitely wanted to get an opportunity to come back on and speak to you, Caden, and just really have I guess the same similar conversation to the one that we had. For those who don't know me, I'm a multi-platinum musician. I've been in the music industry for over 20 years at this point in my life. I've seen all particular types of people and been around lots of people. I've performed in front of many people. So I tend to build a certain understanding for seeing not only just people in general, but just people of all walks of life. And so that's any background that you can imagine, whether it be race, ethnicity, gender, and then obviously people from the autistic community. So I'm just here to lend a voice and, be supportive of what you are doing, Caden. And I value what you're doing. I value that the awareness that you're bringing. And, yeah, I'm just open to just being a part of your story.
Thank you, sir. And I'm happy that you're part of it. My next question for you both is autistic individuals have a 10% employment rate in our country currently. Why do you think employers in our day and age are skeptical about hiring autistic individuals into their workforce? Patische, we'll start with you.
So like I said in my introduction, a lot, you know, Pia Pistachio gets a job. I think if employers really want to get an idea of why they need to reconsider their choice to hire us, please pick up Pia Pistachio Gets a Job. It really goes into detail of why so many individuals on the autism spectrum feel this constant battle from a society that have yet to understand our struggles, and why we cannot basically persevere in a functional society in their, I would say, in their functional way of society. And I think, me personally, one of the biggest reasons why, you know, I think really large employers and large business companies still to this day discriminate us is because they don't they don't even give either two things could happen. Number one, they just don't even want to give us a chance to basically showcase our ability to do the job in the correct direction that employers want us to, but in a very accommodating light. So they don't want us to use our accommodations to basically critique and correct the job itself, like basically do it in the way that it's supposed to be done. But we can't basically use our accessibility to get the job done. So I know that there's people there. I know in my heart for sure that there has been a lot of neurodivergent disabled people and a lot of autistic people that have been let go because of the amount of accommodations that we may need to basically achieve the job. And number two, just simply because um, the lack of the understanding and the background of the individual. And I think that I really think that bigger companies need to really understand why did they let us go even in the first place. Like they need to reevaluate their why. Like, why did I let this person go, or why did I just let this person go is the biggest thing. And I think that big companies like Nike or Walgreens, whatever the job it is, I think really big employers um, really need to reforesee the individual, because a lot of us could be hired. A lot of autistic people and neurodivergent disabled people could be hired right now. Statistics say about 80% of neurodivergent disabled people and autistic people still remain unemployed because of big companies that put us in that dis, put in that discriminate put in that spotlight of um discriminatory access to the public. And I feel like if bigger companies would just start really reforeseeing their why, and kind of reevaluate why they decided to discriminate, to put us under the bus like that, I think that more companies would have more employees. I think that they just I think part of that is not just discrimination, but also underestimation, and also just everything in between of why also that this book needs to get to some of the biggest employers in our society. So that's my take.
I absolutely agree. And
Yeah.
the current political climate in this country isn't helping matters either.
Right.
Mims, what do you think of all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, a lot of whether it be malice or not, most of the lack of understanding comes from ignorance, right? So like
Yeah.
most of the times people are discriminated against is because the person sitting on the other side doesn't necessarily understand what it's like to be in the person's shoes that they're looking at. And when it comes to like neurodiversity, I think that more employers need to be trained in understanding that they shouldn't just be looking at people based on personality, right? Because I think that that's the hiring process has a lot of personality based intent. However, they should be looking at the skill set, right? So the neurodivergent community, in most cases, depending on what the job is, could be an asset to a scenario as you know as opposed to being someone that's coming in from a deficit standpoint. So I think that we need to just really just gain more understanding and educate people more on what the community, what involvements come with the community, the neurodivergent community. Um, you know, you know, I think we also need to normalize different communication styles, right? So like,
I do
uh,
too. I
yeah,
agree.
it's not always about uh it's that, like we say, we always try to say there's more than one way to skin a cat, even though we don't want to skin any cats, but there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I think that sometimes the better employers understand it doesn't matter if you're neurodivergent or not. The better employers tend to understand the mindset of the people working for them. So, for example, a company like Google, when I read reports on how they allow a lot of certain amount of time for their employees to take lunch breaks, or they have
Hmm.
a certain environment for them to thrive in, and they give them the space to kind of be, I guess they give them the freedom to be a little bit more independent in the workspace. I think companies like that thrive because they're not just looking at it as a cookie cutter system. Um, I've come across a lot of neurodivergent people in my life, and everybody has a different way of thinking. Just like
Absolutely.
every, just like every non-neurodivergent person has a different way of thinking.
Absolutely.
So
Hmm.
we don't need to put everyone in the same category when it comes to the hiring process, right? Like if someone
Right.
says, "Hey, I'm a part of the neurodivergent community," your first instinct is not to automatically think that they're incapable of doing similar or the same things that another person can do. I think that
Yes.
once we get out of
Yes.
that ignorance, we could thrive and live harmoniously, as they say.
Yes. I agree.
I agree with that too. Ooh,
Yeah.
to use music as a metaphor for Ed, you got decades of music history on that wall. There, Mims, and hip hop especially. People aren't put in the same exact category because there's different styles of rapping. I think employment is like rap in a way. There's different styles, different communication techniques people need, and employers should be accommodating and empathetic towards that. Which leads to my next question. The job search can be difficult for not just autistic individuals, but for anyone who's looking for a job. There's several different platforms, several different methods. You have to accommodate the resume to X, Y, and Z position.
Hmm.
What can autistic individuals do to make sure they get the proper job? And what should they be looking for in a job? Patis, we'll start with you again.
Okay. So me personally, I think and this kind of stems from experience firsthand, but then what I overall think should happen. So when I was, I'm gonna say around 12th grade, when I was a senior in high school, um, like the saying goes like, okay, after high school, we got to get you prepared for the real world. And once the real world is out there, that's when you have to walk through the real world. So it's, after high school, it just prepares you for real life. I think within my situation as an autistic person, the way that I was kind of getting prepared for all that was and I guess it can be for anybody really. It can be overwhelming, but from my personal experience, I've always wanted a job for some weird reason. I think it was just because I like my own power, and I like my own, my way of how I see myself, and the way I see fit for me as an autistic person. So I guess in terms of experience, one of the things that I had to get right after high school, because in my universe of autism versus a typical universe, um, was a job coach. And a job coach is basically, around to basically help the autistic person land a job. So after high school, I went to a vocational program called Project Search, and at the time it was through Quest. And so Quest at the time made sure that I had a job coach to basically help me thrive in in their program. And the different jobs we had to do in different programs was to prepare us for a real job, for real employment. So in terms of that, I went through the program for a year, got my certificate, and actually landed a job at Publix right after, I think it was like before I graduated from the program. So I think for some advice, if from experience, that I would like to put out there for parents or for anybody that is trying to get their child a job, trying to get their adult autistic child a job. I highly recommend get through vocational rehab and a job coach. Um, as to the extra accommodations and things that we may have to have versus what a typical person might have to have, for us to be able to um, to thrive basically in a society that wasn't really created um through the neurodivergent and autism lens, because there is, I know, like nowadays, like resources are lacking, and it looks as if they're vanishing from everybody, whether they're autistic or not. But there has always been, and still there still continues to be, somewhere in between that, um a, a typical society that some is still thriving from their resources, but in the universe of autism and neurodivergent disabilities, there is way too many there's still, till this day, way too many lack of resources. And that is because, once again, our society was not built around the things that, an autist a parent of an autistic kid would need to basically succeed in the real world. So that's what I personally believe.
I absolutely agree with that. Mem, so what do you think of that question?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult question for me to answer because I'm not in a position to answer it. I think once again, I think I go back to what I was saying before. Oftentimes ignorance says that people are trying to fix a problem. So if someone is autistic or if they're neurodivergent, that we tend to approach it as if, let me fix you. Let me put you in an
Mm-hmm.
environment that I think works for you. And I think we should be hearing the voices of people in the community and seeing what it is they want and how they want to thrive. And once again, just like in other scenarios, not necessarily with the neurodivergent community, there are people who thrive better in certain working conditions. So, for example, someone like myself, when I'm doing work or if I'm writing music, I like a quiet environment. I like to be in the studio by myself. I like to be in a creative mode by myself, and then I present my work to the people when I'm done. And I think that if we treat the neurodivergent community the same way we treat other individuals, knowing that some people thrive better in certain environments. And there may be certain jobs presented that are better opportunities for neurodivergent people. That doesn't mean that they can't fit into society with every job, but they're just like
Right.
any other community. There may be jobs that could better suit them. Um, but yeah, I don't think I can comment on what I would with the process that I would take because it's not for me to comment on. I just wish that people would educate themselves on the conversation, and I also feel like I said, I've been around to different places. But I also think what you're doing, Caden, is important, right? This actual conversation right here is opening up the doors and the windows and everything for people to kind of come in and say, okay, I never knew that. I didn't understand that in the beginning, but now I gain more understanding. So it allows them to go do their research. And once they start to research these topics, if they're an employer, then they can approach the situation differently.
Absolutely. Yeah, Kaden. I just wanted to say too that just thank you for what you're doing to do that, to do this. Because by you doing this, Kaden, you're actually you and like he just said, like you're actually opening up doors for a lot of parents and a lot of employers and people that really need to hear stuff like this. And I think too many once too many oftentimes, we bump and run into people that often comment some of the most ignorant things to us. And um so just by you doing this can flip the world at 360-degree angle. So we just wanted to thank you for what you're doing.
Thank you guys, and I absolutely agree. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
with anything really, education is key. A bit of a story for you. Today, at the time of this recording, I just got back from one of the No Kings protests that are happening right now.
Yes.
And
Yep.
there was a lot of education going on there because people needed to educate society about cause they liked. I got a couple of middle fingers during the protesting from passing cars, but I don't care. As long as I'm educating the people willing to learn, it's worth
Right.
it in the end. Which leads to my
Absolutely.
last question. With DEI on the chopping block in a lot of different companies, how can companies assure that they're continuing to contribute to their mission of inclusion and diversity within the workplace?
Well, for me, first and foremost, since I personally have recently got my first book published, if they would like to really learn about autism from a very different, new, fresh perspective, I would like to have them pick up this book and really learn about the top two, which tackles the top two most important things: autism in boys and girls, but really it spotlights a new pathway on girls. But also, this also is a book that describes how workplaces are still discriminating neurodivergent people. And if they want to basically get in touch with me and contribute to having me come over to their uh, headquarters or book events for me to go speak to them, they can do that at the website at www.pastichegraham.com, and they can basically contribute their time and hopefully to be motivated by the words that are coming from me as someone who is also on the autism spectrum and yes is very blessed and fortunate to have employment under a big company, but also who is motivated and inspired enough to know and cares enough about making the world more inclusive. So that's my take.
I absolutely like that take. Mims, what's your take on that question?
Yeah, I think DEI has been the hot topic for the last 6 months, and it's been, plenty of unfortunate events that have occurred in social media, kind of sparking this polarizing conversation with it. I think that we have to understand, and it depends on what perspective you're speaking from. But if we're speaking specifically from the neurodivergent community perspective, I don't think that DEI merits goes against the merits that people obtain. I think it just says, hey, this is an industry where we have to be more inclusive of certain individuals. Even though those individuals still should go through the similar testing processes, they should still obtain the same certificates that any
Right.
normal person would do. It just gives a different perspective as to when that testing process is over, and once people actually go into the workforce and look and apply for jobs, they should be looking to give individuals jobs from all walks of life. Um,
Right.
it's once again, it's not a black or a white thing. It's a male female. It's a black white. It's a rich poor. It's a LGBTQ plus community person. I mean, it's people from all walks of life that want to feel some sort of inclusion. Um,
Right.
what I will say is, and this is the hot topic for me today, is the word ignorance, right? I think
Right.
that when we get on social media and we see information being spit at us, it's
Uh-huh.
usually comes in 30-second clips, 1 minute clips. And I think it's important for us to do our own research as people and not just rely on these 30-second and 1 minute clips to build information. We should actually do the due diligence and actually learn and study the information that's being presented to us. Because what I've noticed is a lot of the stuff that comes online, even when it is a 30-second or a 1 minute clip, there's a context that's usually removed from it, and it won't allow us to get the full grand scheme of what a person is trying to convey.
Yes.
And that goes on both sides, right? I tend to be a more neutral person in life, and I don't necessarily, I'm very headstrong, so I don't necessarily want to listen to someone tell me how I have to live or how I have to be or where I have
Right.
to go. So I've been very headstrong, but there are individuals that aren't, and there are individuals that will look at something and take it for face value. And I think when it comes to DEI, I think one of the things that we need to do is we need to educate ourselves on exactly what the process of DEI hiring is. And
Right.
I'll leave an example. And I know this was a hot topic about whether or not someone would get on a plane if they saw a black woman flying the plane. That seemed to have been a hot topic a few months ago. And what people don't realize is that the hiring process is different from the actual process of getting certified. And
Yes.
a person who gets certified has to go through the same training as any person. It doesn't matter what your background is. And I think that people need to realize that. And I think that ignorance right there, whether it be from a malicious perspective or not, that type of ignorance is what the world needs less of. We need more love. We need more humanitarians. We need more people who can pull us together and not rip us apart. And I believe in that. I think love wins in the end. And that
Absolutely.
it doesn't matter what community you represent. It doesn't matter what political side you stand on. It just means that when it's all said and done, we can agree to disagree. We may not even like the same things, but when it's all said and done, we are living as humans on this earth in this one moment. And this is our moment to make the world a better place. So even when we disagree, we can always come back together and say, I agree to disagree. I don't see things your way, but as a human, I still love, support, and respect everything you're doing. And I think that we need that in every community. So neurodivergent, autistic community, Black community, woman community. We need to be more compassionate about what the world needs, and the and and I would say what people hearing people. Because some people just want to be heard. They want to be represented. They don't want to be unincluded or not invited per se. And I think
Yeah.
that it takes no time out of someone's schedule to actually listen to a person speak. So once again, Caden, I say your mission right now is to be disruptive. You're doing something for your community that will allow people to understand your community better. And that is the key to being disruptive, man. So I applaud you and everything you're doing. And as far as the book is concerned, everybody watching, go get that book. What is it?
Pia Pistachio gets a job.
Pia Pistachio gets a job. I'm going to get that book. I'm going to search for that book high and low so I can get it myself after this call.
Oh, and one more thing, Kaden, you are in my very first book. I did, for some reason, there was a thought of your name, and I want to show everybody something really, really quick. I am sorry to interrupt, but
No,
thank
go
you for
ahead.
supporting my journey as well. Kaden
Or,
is this guy right here at the register.
Nice.
oh, oh, that's awesome. I don't have the glasses anymore, but that's awesome. Who made that illustration? If you don't mind me
So
asking.
it's my amazing illustrator June Hardy. She's the one that created my book for everybody, for everybody to read. She did a very awesome job authenticating every single part of Pia's story. And thank you again for wanting to get the book and for amplifying and promoting autism and workplace inclusion, because oftentimes in this book, you guys, it's fiction and nonfiction. So it's fiction because there's things that are fictional in the story, but it's nonfiction because overall workplace discrimination still does happen. So yes. So far, this has a 7.5 star review, which I am super happy. It's got like a lot of good feedback so far. So, let's keep supporting. Like as I tell everybody, please go write reviews, rate how you honestly feel from this, and let's continue to support the overall mission, which is to grab some of the biggest companies' attention, and let's keep making this world a better place. Let's keep disrupting stereotypes. Let's keep crushing barriers. Let's keep doing what we're doing.
Amen to that. And shout out to June Hart for that amazing character design. Anyways, that's going to do it for this webinar, guys. Thank you so much to MIMS and Patische for joining me for this amazing conversation. If you guys want to see more amazing conversations, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the Autism Digest channel. Stay tuned for our November issue. That's coming out next month. In the next couple of weeks, actually. You can get that by going to autismdigest.com. And stay tuned for the audio file of this webinar to be posted on our Spotify. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.